Hey everybody, welcome to the THC Foodie, where we discuss the business side of cannabis and infused products. On the surface, it may seem like operating a cannabis business in a state where cannabis is both medically and recreationally legal would be as simple as operating a non-cannabis business. In this episode, LaynieGanja and Tyler join us to talk about challenges that cannabis businesses face operating in Denver, Colorado. While cannabis is both medically and recreationally legal in Colorado, when it comes to doing business, it's not as simple as that. Permits, licenses, and registrations vary by district, and day-to-day functions as simple as banking and accounting become a matter of troubleshooting and damage control. Tyler is a day-to-day accountant for Mary's Medicinals, and he lets us in on how some businesses have to operate within the confines of legalities that seem to change on a week-to-week basis. Tyler gives us some insight into cannabis business, from operating under DBAs to having tax accountants who specialize in tax code 280E. Want to share your story, your product, or business? Check us out at the thcfoodie.com or email us at jt@thethcfoodie.com. This podcast is not sponsored by Mary's Medicinals, and this podcast is meant for entertainment purposes only and should not take the place of professional medical advice.
Last week we were talking about accounting in Colorado for cannabis businesses in particular. And I was wondering if there was really that big of a difference between accounting for traditional businesses versus cannabis businesses, and you're saying that there's a huge difference.
I believe so.
Tell us about some of them.
Well, one of the major ones is a tax code called 280E, which says that if your company is dealing with a Schedule 1 substance, which cannabis unfortunately still is, that your business isn't allowed to write off major things, in my opinion, like the cost of goods sold or your employees, which are two huge things that other businesses get to write off, and that pushes a lot of the effective tax rates of many cannabis companies to the upwards of 80% in a lot of cases, and that's hard to operate your year to year when you're paying that much in taxes, in addition to the many licenses and taxes that you're already paying. Many of the municipalities and local cities have their own, loopholes and licenses that they like businesses to get. Some of the cities here in the Denver Metroplex area still aren't allowed to have certain types of businesses. Some cities can't have med shops, some can't have rec shops. Some still have very limited hours where they close at 6:45 in the evening. So if you're a working medical patient, sometimes it can be tricky to go in and purchase your medicine. Right. I like to see good accountants come into the industry, and as cannabis becomes less and less taboo, I think we'll have more and more very well already trained accountants who want to switch over and help this industry. As more and more companies are able to develop things like a 401k for the employees or health insurance and things like that, because right now we still run into issues where even companies that have set up a 401k, sometimes the money manager decides, well, we can't work with your cannabis money anymore, and they'll shut things down, and so that's been irritating over the years. But maybe in the coming years we'll see a change.
It's things like these details that even cause businesses to go under and not be able to operate any longer. So basically, it's like, it's wonderful we have legal cannabis here, and this is like a huge step in the right direction. But people have no idea how many roadblocks that we face every single day, even though we are in a legal state and we're all like operating, having these amazing jobs and like doing these careers, we have constant problems, and like accounting is a huge one. And then the fact that like a lot of dispensaries in the beginning years could only operate with cash, that was also a huge issue. Like banks would not accept the money from any sort of cannabis business. So it's just so many. It's like we take a step forward, but we're always taking like a couple steps back as well. And it's just constant fighting. Like that's why we are constantly like gathering at meetings and staying really active in the community, because the fight is so far from over. I mean, on like a federal level, they make everything extremely difficult for us.
Definitely. I mean, like she was saying, the cash issues, the banks issues. Even here in Denver, we only have one credit union that we can use, and not everybody wants to use them because the cost of having those accounts are fairly high. There's only one, and I feel like they know it. And so if you're a small mom-and-pop cannabis business, sometimes it's hard for you to even get an account. And so you have to sometimes go in and lie about who you are, or create a fake name, or and you can get your account shut down, and that makes the doing business hard as well. I mean, there's already enough loopholes to jump through. Kids can get bank accounts, but it seems that these state-approved legal businesses that happen to deal with cannabis just are getting the short end of the stick 90% of the time here.
Like, I definitely know people where they have to have, they're trying to get accounts for whatever they're doing in the industry, and they usually have to operate under a different name, because if their name at all says like CBD, hemp, cannabis, THC, like any of that, you don't have a standing chance. So a lot of people have to go under these like other names in order to even function as a business and do any sort of accounting. So
wow,
makes
okay.
it pretty difficult.
If I'm a business in Denver specifically and I want to open a bank account, where would I go? Just to shortcut it. So let's just say I'm new and I want to go open a bank account, and I'm a cannabis business. What is the name of this bank? Are you willing to share it? Is that weird? Do people kind of like say, well, that's another interesting question. Why are you hesitant?
Referral to this bank, you need a referral, and then from there, you have an interview with a private banker, and that private banker, they approve or disapprove you, and then from there they'll go and visit your cannabis business pretty often, more often than other businesses get treated, I feel like. So I don't know if I'm going to share the name with you. If you're a cannabis business owner, I feel like you, maybe some people do. Maybe I can come back and tell you the name of it. But
that's very interesting, though, that you're even hesitant to share the name of a legitimate bank who's doing legitimate business, but they are just not willing to share. It's still not out in the open. That is totally bizarre.
The whole thing's crazy.
I know, it's nuts.
Here's another one, Julia. Like, so last night we all went to the Denver Normal meeting, like the monthly gathering. Literally, they did a fundraiser where like you would donate clothes and people could pay $1 and like pick out these clothes, and whatever dollars they gathered, they were about to donate. So they pick a charity to donate to. They approach them to give the donation, and they rejected it because it came from Denver Normal. Just because it came from a marijuana, like, advocacy type program, they literally were like, oh, we're not going to accept that. And all they were trying to do was hand them cash as like a donation.
Wow.
That's how crazy this is. And they actually ended up going to 10 places before they got somebody to accept their money from, they went to 10 different charities before somebody accepted it. Like, that's how the whole thing is so nuts.
I think that a lot of the other places just do DBAs.
Oh, mm-hmm.
And they try to get away with that as long as they can. Some of the cannabis companies I've talked to have gone through like 18 bank accounts before they figured out something that stuck and worked for them. So yeah, there's just options are still limited even in a legal business like this. So.
And then it even gets down to even sillier things. Like, for instance, I know a lot of people who are making hemp oil type products, and like they will get their PayPal taken away from them. They will get everything they try to do. They'll get
Amazon
it taken away.
Shut down. Yeah. And even workers like us, we get paid by cannabis companies. And so if our bank accounts sometimes get word of that, they can shut our bank accounts down. And I've heard of instances where they shut down the bank account of the employee and the parents of the employee and the siblings of the employee that didn't even have anything to do with, didn't even live in the state. And family members' accounts are getting shut down by banks. And so it's just craziness.
So let's talk solutions. for a second, if you can reveal any. So you're saying that sometimes people use doing business as names, and then when their account shuts down, they just have to create a new name and a new bank account. Is that what happens?
Sure, I'm not sure if they do a new bank altogether or a new name altogether.
Sometimes things get just like placed on hold and then somehow get released. I don't know if people just like enough people call and try to like explain the situation or what. I don't know. I think it varies per business and per situation.
Right.
You are an accountant for Mary's, but there's a specific 280E accountant people.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Who just kind of have started up in the past couple of years to work on cannabis specific tax codes related to filing taxes.
So I would think that the type of accounting that he does every day is mostly probably like your invoices and literally keeping track of like all the product and all the money exchanges, things like that. Like you're probably not actually filling out like the tax forms, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. No, when it comes to the end of the year, right? I mean, you learn a ton, and if taxes weren't hard enough as it is, this is all new.
Yeah.
You usually try to write off everything because you can come back and say, no, well, that was the cost of goods, and that's how it worked. But this, you just can't, so it's so tricky.
Do you have a product or business you want to share? We want to know what you have to say. Leave us a comment on our website at thethcfoodie.com or on Twitter at SafeTHCFoods.